All right, listen here, fellas. I'm heading into the city. I got my 50 joule launcher on the body. I'm wearing it, man. If anybody gives me any lip, any trouble, pulls something on me, I don't care if it's a firearm, I'm ready. I can stop anybody anywhere with my less lethal. Hi everybody, welcome back for another video. Are you a suburban commando? Well, I might be, I don't know. I live in the suburbs most of the time, but when we do go to the city, a lot of times we just go into the city to go to an event. We walk in with the crowds and there's lots of police and lots of security for these events. It's actually very safe. We went to the CMA Fest in Nashville, high police presence, lots of people, had a great time, and this was an example of where the suburbanites come in and they're prepared and they want to go to do something in the city. Maybe it's not to an event like this, maybe it's something else. So I did this poll recently on my channel, and I just asked, what part of the country do you live in? Do you live in the city? Do you live in the suburbs, the exurbs, or even far out rural in the middle of nowhere? And I thought it was interesting that initially it started out fairly even, but over time the suburbs gained, and at one point they were about 50%. They're still about twice what all the other groups are, or even more. So the suburbs is clearly the largest proportion of the responders to my poll, as a pretty decent sized poll. So we are a lot of suburbanites, and I want to talk about this a little bit more. But first, I got to get one thing off my chest. This needs to be talked about first. Now, I saw this recently, and I just have to call this out. This is something that was posted online. This is the type of rhetoric and nonsensical thinking that is going to get someone killed. They're implying that there's something about a high joule, less lethal launcher and headshots that's going to make them somehow now able to go against a real gun. And they're suggesting, almost implying that you're silly if you're dismissing a less lethal launcher because it could be fatal, obviously, if you shoot someone in the head. So it is a capable weapon to go up against a person with a firearm. Well, that is deadly wrong and bad thinking. There's one obvious reason why that's not going to be good. First of all, the distance. Your average less lethal launcher, let's say you have a really nice pistol, less lethal launcher, 50 joules, and that's a very potentially lethal shot to the head. But yeah, maybe you can make that shot at 10 feet. Maybe you can make it at 20 feet if you're lucky. Maybe 1 out of 5 or 6 of your shots, you land one of them on the head. But what about at 50 feet, 30 feet, something further out? Well, the firearm, they're still deadly from that range, whereas your less lethal launcher is going to be very poor. It's going to be very inaccurate. You're not going to land those shots. The firearm is going to be bam, 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 and they're going to keep going, and you're going to run out of air, you're going to run out of FPS. It is just a silly argument. I don't want to spend a lot of time on this, but that is the typical suburban commando argument, and it's a way of thinking that is very unrealistic. These are people that are obviously not using firearms. They obviously don't have a very good understanding about the imbalance of force between a firearm and a less lethal, and they also it's potentially people who have a sales objective. They're product pushers. They're trying to push this technology in a way that is hype and unrealistic to the point that it's laughable. At this point, this comment is very laughable, unfortunately. All right, so back to the main topic that I want to talk about. Why do you think that there's such an attraction for the suburbanite to get into less lethal? Well, I think it's because we normally are not in a very high dangerous environment, high threat. We live either way out in the country, we live in nice clean suburbs, we feel very safe, but we want to have this tactical persona, we want to pursue self-defense, but we know that in our heart and in our life, in our normal lifestyle, we don't need to be hardcore. We don't need a lot of firearms. So we can pursue other options, and less lethal is attractive because your typical suburbanite has the resources and has the money to buy these products. And we can buy them. They make us feel good. The less lethal makes us feel virtuous in some ways because we're choosing less lethal. It's also, they're very capable tools, and we can convince ourselves that they're very good for lots of different things, and they are. But when we go into the city, how many of us truly pick the less lethal over the firearm when we're going into the most dangerous parts of the city, or we're going to do something where we truly feel that our life is in danger or could be threatened, or we're going to be out away in a place where we're not familiar and we just don't know what could happen. But less lethal users tend to overstate and overthink about how we could use these launchers to protect ourselves, and we may have unrealistic expectations. And now when the night falls and the day's over and we're reflecting on what we did in the city, we may realize that, the less lethal probably would have been plenty sufficient for us on our trip to the city. But a lot of times our decision making is based on our perspective, where we live, how we view the world. We might look down from our ivory tower. It's very easy for me when I'm in Nashville. We live downtown. Yes, it's a downtown area, but we live in a very safe building with lots of security, looking down on the city, and there's a very strong police presence there all the time. It's quite protected. And so you could argue, well, you maybe less lethal is plenty fine for you and even in the downtown area. But the thing is, in the downtown, you have to go into parking garages like this. And actually, our parking garage, you can see it's all fenced in. It has a gate that comes down. No one can get in or out the doors without a key card. So it's actually quite secure. But you go to any other garage in town that's not a residential garage, you're gonna have major concerns about your safety, especially late at night. When you come around a curve or you come around a corner, you don't know who's waiting there for you, and that person may have a weapon that is a lethal weapon. And if you're carrying your byrna and you've got your chemical rounds, you can only hope and hope and hope that those rounds break like they're supposed to and that the chemicals disperse and the person is sensitive and they respond quickly and you're able to get away. There's lots of if this, if that. So I'm also not advocating that you should take someone's life. I love the option of having a pocket pepper spray. That's my go-to. And I'm not against less lethals in any way, but I do think that a lot of us gravitate toward them because maybe we don't like the legal risk of firearm. We don't want the risk at home of an accident, and all of those things are very real, and we like less lethals for the good things about them. Just don't ever let a salesman sell you on less lethal for the wrong reasons and get into it for the wrong reasons, thinking that it can handle situations that it cannot. And you should never try to use it for a situation where you should not be using it. There's just so much that could go wrong. So is less lethal really something that's a luxury for people who are already safe? I don't know. You let me know. That's all I got to say about this one. Everybody take care. Be safe. Let me hear from you. See you next time.